Google rolls out the latest, smartest AI model for free, safeguarding personal data during travel amid increased device searches. Cloudflare launches an open-source tool for secure keyless SSH authentication, and converting 60 million lines of Cobol in months, not years. Genius or hubris? Welcome to #Trending. I'm your host, Jim Love. Let's get into it. Google has announced the rollout of its latest AI model, Gemini 2.5 Pro, experimental, to all users of the Gemini app, including those in the free tier. Introduced earlier this week, Gemini 2.5 Pro is described as Google's most intelligent AI model, integrating advanced reasoning capabilities directly into the system. Initially, access was limited to Gemini Advanced subscribers through the $19.99 per month Google One AI Premium plan. However, as of Saturday, Google has expanded access to all users, stating a desire to get its most intelligent model into more people's hands ASAP. The model is already available on gemini.google.com and will soon be accessible via Android and iOS apps as well. Gemini 2.5 Pro Experimental currently leads the LM arena in leaderboard scores and excels in math and science benchmarks. Google is also working on enhancing its coding performance. In contrast with its competitor systems, which have as high as a couple 100,000 token context windows, Google's Gemini 2.5 has a 1 million token context window with plans to expand it to 2 million tokens. It's unclear whether the stable version of Gemini 2.5 Pro will remain free upon completion of the experimental phase. Previously, models like 2.0 Flash Thinking and 2.0 Flash were anticipated to be the free offerings. The move aligns with Google's recent trend of making more features available to all users, including deep research, gems, saved info, document upload analysis, and generating images of people. Currently, the primary benefits for advanced subscribers would have included a 1 million token context window, but that has, to use the phrase, gone out the window, and their single benefit seems to be higher usage limits. Recent reports indicate that the Trump administration has intensified inspection of travelers' electronic devices, leading to detentions and deportations of both U.S. residents and tourists under its stringent immigration policies. Although such electronic searches constitute a small fraction of border interactions, it may be prudent for travelers to take some steps to safeguard their personal data. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, or CBP, possesses the authority to search electronic devices without warrants at borders and international airports. While U.S. citizens can't be denied entry for refusing such a device search, foreign visitors might face denial of entry, and lawful permanent residents could encounter what people are calling complications regarding their residency status. So some of the recommendations for protecting your data while you're traveling: first of all, limit sensitive information. Before traveling, consider removing sensitive data such as licenses, credit card details, personal photographs from your devices. Randy Rose, Vice President of Security Operations and Intelligence at the Center for Internet Security, advises, just assume that your phone is not going to be yours at some point during the trip. Other tips include avoiding unsecured networks, steering clear of open Wi-Fi networks, which may be unsecured and susceptible to data interception. Use secure charging methods. Opt for power adapters instead of plugging devices directly into USB ports to mitigate risks associated with data theft via compromised charging stations. Using virtual private networks, employing a VPN can encrypt your data and mask your location, enhancing online privacy. And Rose emphasizes something we all know: the internet was not built with security in mind. It was built for open communication. And over time, we sort of tacked security on. But finally, you might consider a burner phone. I know this is the stuff that you see in movies and cop shows, but for those unwilling or unable to remove data from their device, you might consider a temporary or burner phone for use in the U.S. Since these temporary devices are rather rudimentary, frequent travelers might consider just having a second phone purely for travel. And if you're stopped by law enforcement, they can compel individuals to unlock their devices if you use biometric methods such as facial recognition or fingerprints. Under the Constitution, if that's still a thing, they can't require you to disclose numeric passcodes. That's protected under the Fifth Amendment. In the fiscal year 2024, Border Services conducted 47,000 searches of electronic devices, affecting fewer than 0.01% of arriving passengers. Of these searches, approximately 10,500 involved U.S. citizens, while 36,500 pertained to non-U.S. citizens. But lately, there had been at least one highly publicized story of Canadians who've been stopped and interrogated and asked questions regarding whether they favored the U.S. or Canada. In another case, a Canadian was detained for 2 weeks due to problems with her visa. So while statistically you may not have issues, if the situation worsens with the United States, you may want to be prepared. And even if this doesn't concern you, it's still a good idea to proactively manage the data on your electronic devices and understand your rights so you can enhance your personal security and privacy while traveling. Cloudflare has released an open source tool called OPK SSH, Open Pub Key SSH, which allows developers and IT teams to use identity-based single sign-on instead of the traditional SSH keys for server access. The move aims to improve both security and usability for managing secure shell or SSH connections. The tool integrates OpenID Connect, a widely used identity authentication protocol, into the SSH process. Instead of relying on long-lived private keys, OPK SSH generates short-term, ephemeral keys based on a user's login session with an identity provider. This reduces the risk of key theft and simplifies access management across teams. Cloudflare said that users can generate SSH credentials by signing in with their identity provider, and this lets them connect to servers from any device with OPK SSH installed without needing to carry private keys. Now, this was originally developed by Bastion Zero, which is now part of Cloudflare, and OPK SSH has been released under the Apache 2.0 open source license. Administrators can authorize users by email, improving visibility and access tracking. And the project has been contributed to the broader Open PubKey ecosystem and is now available on GitHub. The Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, has launched a high-speed effort to rewrite the aging codebase behind the U.S. Social Security Administration, a project involving over 60 million lines of legacy Cobol code. Experts warn the move could pose serious risks to the payment systems that support more than 65 million Americans. The Social Security system relies on decades-old code and a patchwork of interdependent databases. While modernization is long overdue, DOGE's plan to rebuild the entire architecture in, wait for it, just a few months has alarmed software engineers and policy analysts. This isn't a website redesign, one government technology expert told Ars Technica. It's a payment infrastructure with life-altering consequences if something goes wrong. Critics point to the potential for data integrity issues and system outages during the transition. The Cobol-based environment includes custom workflows tied to income verification, benefits adjustments, and cross-agency data sharing. A rushed rewrite could introduce bugs that result in underpayments, overpayments, or missed checks for millions of recipients, many of whom rely on the benefits to survive. DOGE has suggested the use of generative artificial intelligence to accelerate development, though experts emphasize that any automation has to be paired with rigorous testing and phased rollout plans. Past modernization efforts by the SSA were deliberately slowed or paused due to COVID-19 and the high risk of system disruption. While modernizing Social Security is critical, analysts warn that compressing a years-long infrastructure overhaul into a matter of months could create more problems than it solves, especially when those problems affect the nation's largest public payment system. Now, as an aside, I've done payment systems in my career, over 40 years, a couple of them. I've done a lot of system projects, many of them successful. I've always been aggressive, and sometimes, I confess, I paid a price for that. But even I have had to stare into the face of executives and say, this ain't going to happen. Those were much smaller projects than converting the social security system of the United States with 65 million people collecting payments and 60 million lines of code and an old, impossible Cobol database. How many transactions are in that database? No idea. I know that in Canada, replacing a payment system for our public service was an absolute disaster and took years to fix, if it's fixed now at all. But there's a lot that I don't know about this. There's absolutely no way they can do this manually. That I do know for certain. And maybe they think that AI is ready for this, but no expert I know on programming thinks we're quite there yet. And even if you convert the code, fixing that database and testing it, these guys didn't know the issues with dates in an old COBOL database. What other issues are in a system that's probably 60 years old? I can't wait till they find that old assembler module that's just been chugging along all these years. But what do I know? I just remember my first days as a director of IT in an insurance company. My boss was introducing me to various groups that I had to support. After several areas of record keeping, actuarial, and others, she took me to pension payments. Her instructions were clear. This system never misses a payment. I got her point. I think if you talk to anybody else in the industry, they'd say the same thing. But last week, Elon Musk and one of his supporters, another billionaire, both said, if someone misses a payment and complains, it's because they're a fraudster. Maybe one of these new whiz kids has all the answers. After all, the Doge people have impressed you with their current careful attention to detail, I'm sure. And what could possibly go wrong? That's our show. You can reach us with comments, questions at editorial@technewsday.ca or in the comments on YouTube. I'm your host, Jim Love. Have a marvelous Monday.